Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this. Yes, I am back live again on this 13th day of August. Gonna comment on, I know he got hurt today. He's got an oblique injury, but gonna comment today on Shedeur Sanders. His debut, I thought it was really good, but it was a lot. There's a reason why he got picked in the 5th round. Talk about the celebrity quarterback. Not to be a celebrity quarterback. The incident, and not really an incident. I guess you want to say the confrontation with the radio guy from Cleveland. Go to talk about that as well. James Cook signed an extension. Got a few comments on that. And listen, You've got to play these quarterbacks, folks. You cannot coach scared, playing fearful. Going to get into that as well. I haven't done a live show where it's just me, folks, probably in 6 weeks, maybe longer. And there's a few things I didn't get to talk about. Hulk Hogan's death. I wanted to talk about Shane Gillis on the ESPY Awards. Try to get into all that and more. A lot to get into. I really look forward to today's show all week. Let's take our first and only break. You can see I'm a little rusty here, and I'll be back here shortly, and we will hit the ground running here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. I'm back here live. I'm in my new facility, and I've had to move. I've got a new green screen, folks, and I've got a stand I got put up. So I'm just about completely transitioned over to the new house, to the new apartment here. I'm happy to be at this point. I'm like 98, 99% in there. So I'm pretty excited about that. Going to try to get some guests, by the way, to come on. Roy, remember Roy, my former neighbor here, still a good friend. Going to get him and one of his friends to come on the program here in the next week or so. Going to give you some college football predictions. May give you just the teams I think that can make the playoff or championship bubble teams. Going to give some NFL predictions. Going to try to get this show going on a regular basis. Maybe not completely 5 days a week, but try to get it back up to about 3. I'm going to do some more recorded shows because I'm working more. So just bear with me. And a lot of you have bared with me, and I really appreciate that during this time of transition to a new place and some financial problems. Just wanted to get all that out the way. Okay. So, play to get better, and that's the title. I notice that you've got first-year quarterbacks, you've got second-year quarterbacks that teams, Caleb Williams, for example, Christian McCaffrey or J.J. McCarthy. I don't know. I keep getting those two mixed up. McCaffrey, McCarthy. The second-year player, remember he got hurt last year in the in camp last year, the Vikings quarterback. These guys need playing time, okay? Let me go into my notes before I get too far out in front of myself. And I don't really – I like to revert to I don't like to go too far off of what I've already wrote down. But basically, I put this down here, folks. Got to put my mic a little bit closer just to make sure you all can get me. play to get better. Whether it's, like I said, a first-year quarterback, a second-year quarterback, in most cases, maybe not a Jalen Daniels of the Commanders that went to the NFC Championship game. That's an outlier. But like I said just now, a J.J. McCarthy struggling in camp year 2. Caleb Williams struggling in a camp along with Ben Johnson, getting a hold of Ben Johnson's system there. I've been reading for the last 2 weeks in camp, even before mini camp, that Williams has been struggling to get his footwork. He's struggling to work out of center because he's normally doing a shotgun. He's not a good processor. He's not getting out the ball quickly. These are big red flags here from the former number 1 overall pick last year, but he didn't even play last week. He didn't even play last Sunday against the Miami Dolphins. Now reports are, yes, he's going to play this week. Well, here we go. Good job. And it's this fear. And, if I'm an owner of a franchise, if I'm a Jerry Jones, if I'm a Mike Brown, 2 of them that really get under my skin, and thoughts and prayers with Jerry Jones. He's been fighting prostate cancer, but that's a different story. But my point is, if I'm the owner of any of these owners of these organizations, for that matter, I'm telling my coaches, my general managers, all across the board here, I said, you've got my 110% blessing to play these players, particularly quarterbacks, in the preseason to get them better. Okay, you've got my blessing. I don't care what criticisms that we get. If a player, God forbid, tears his Achilles, an ACL, whatever, and a air quote meaningless preset, so sick and tired of hearing that. We are, and the coaches, I'm paying, and this is what if I'm an owner, I'm paying you to get those players developed to be in position to win football games. And if that means playing more snaps in the preseason, that's okay. You've got my blessing. Okay. I understand there's certain situations where the offensive line, you may have a few starters that are banged up. You don't want to put him out there in harm's way. I get that. Or if a player's actual injury, okay, I get that, But this idea that you got to hold them back, you can't play them too much in the preseason. I understand that you have joint practices. That's good. But these players are looking more and more underdeveloped and rushed and just out of fear of getting criticism for playing them too much in the preseason. No, it does not count. I get it. It does not count. But what difference does it make if a player gets hurt in week 6 or if he gets hurt in the preseason? The same answer should be, we're here to develop this player into a better NFL product here. We're here to put this team in position to win the football game. If my coaches, general managers, if they feel like he's not prepared, Caleb Williams, J.J. McCarthy, even if he's just a rookie quarterback, he needs more. Cam Ward, love Cam Ward, in here in Nashville. Had a pretty rough first series. Second series looked really good. But more than 2 series, man. Play these players. It's that fear. And I notice now, even for great players, Joe Burrow, look how bad of a start that every year, just about, that the Cincinnati Bengals have started off in September. And I know some of those have been because of injury and whatnot, appendix and whatever. But a lot of that is they're too cautious on these starters here. And now Zach Taylor's playing his starters. Okay. Now he's starting to play because they got off to such a slow start. They lost week 1 last year to one of the worst teams in football, the New England Patriots. If they win that game, if they win that week 1 game, they're in the playoffs. But all this, let's going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. Jim Jeffcoat, former NFL player, he says that's a mindset, man. That's been on this program. Former Dallas Cowboy. He told me in many shows I've did with the former Dallas Cowboys for Mac and Jack and even with myself. He said, listen, I didn't get hurt until later on in my career. It was like mid-30s. And it's a mindset. You know, there's less hitting in camp now. And I notice teams are starting to change all this stuff. You know, the players, they won that, and that was one of the agreements. But now we're starting to see more injuries. Now there is more hit. There is more pads used earlier in practices because we've had more training camp injuries. You know, you have to play. This is a timing game. You've got to get the timing. How do you go get your timing back? You got to get it, especially I'm mainly talking about quarterbacks, first and second year quarterbacks. And by the way, Tom Brady, best of all time, played some in the preseason. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes played in the preseason, you know, but particularly these first and second year quarterbacks. Hey, let's play him a series. Why? You know he needs the work. Cam Ward needs the work. J.J. McCartney really needs the work. Caleb Williams didn't even play. He didn't even play. And I understand about Caleb Williams. He's not getting his footwork in right. He's not learning how to play under center. Ben Johnson has been getting on to him about not getting the playoff in time. That's going back to mini camp. He's throwing interceptions in the red zone. Maybe he's being a little too hard on him. He's criticized. He's praised Tyson Badgett, the second string guy. That being said, yeah, maybe Ben Johnson should essentially flex his system a little bit to help out Caleb Williams. Maybe he shouldn't criticize him enough. You don't want to beat him down too much where you kill the guy's confidence. I get all that. I get that perspective of it. But you go out and play, you know. And I don't – and that's if I'm the owner, if I'm a Jerry Jones, if I'm a Amy Adams Strunk here in Nashville, I say, listen, man, if you really feel like he needs to get the work in, let's play him a half here. Let's not play 2 series. This guy's not Steve McNair, a returning MVP. And hopefully he'll play more this week. I know they played against the Atlanta Falcons. They play against the Atlanta Falcons later on this week, the Tennessee Titans. And Caleb Williams will play. But this whole fear of if you're scared to get hurt, you're going to get hurt. You know, that's the old adage. The guys that are all-time pros, your Hall of Famers, if you play scared, and I know Bill Belichick was one of the biggest, he got a lot of criticisms about playing guys week 18 or whatever of the season when they had home field locked up. And one time it came back and bit them when they played the Titans years ago. But look at how many times it did not come back and bit them. Look how many playoff games they did win. You know, and I think about this, and I think about players telling other players, you need to hold out for more money. You need to hold out, sit out practice. And I thought to myself, if I enjoy who I'm working with, which I'm pretty sure these players do, I'm not missing practice because I don't want to, 1, get out of shape. 2, I just don't want to mess my rhythm up. You know, this is a rhythm game. This is a team game. Okay. So coaches, owners, players, they need to play. They need to play to get the timing. Stop coaching with fear. Okay. That really irritated me this weekend with all these players that we're reading, J.J. McCarthy, Caleb Williams, that need those snaps. Okay. They need the repetition, even with, the scrimmages during the week. Let's go ahead and get that in there. Okay. So from that to a guy who did play, Shooter Sanders. You know, if you all watched last week's program, I said I thought he'd have a good game. You know, I know he's been working with backups. I know he wasn't initially wanting to be listed as a starter. He's like, fourth on the depth chart and whatnot. But I said I thought that I told Carlos, the Mad New Yorker, on Thursday last week, I said, I think that he is going to throw about 60%, and he's going to have a pretty good game. You know, he's the opposite of a Caleb Williams as a processor. He's quick. He gets the ball out. Was he all-world? No. Did the game itself not look as good as his stat line, which let me go ahead and read so I don't get too far caught off on here, which I was pretty impressed with. 14 for 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and a rating of 106 and a completion percentage of 61. I said 60. It was 61. So I probably would have won the Price is Right for him. So very impressed by that. Thought that was really good. And then the reason why he fell to the 5th round, this is what I heard. He confronts a media personality, I think it's Matt Grossi or whatever, never mind, a local Cleveland radio personality on criticizing him too much. And I found out later he had his brother. Why is the brother loud in the locker room? I don't know. But somehow his brother's there to film it. And listen up. We will play it.
Tony, I be hoping you got something positive to say about me. You only say negative stuff about me. And I'm like, I ain't do nothing to you. No. I ain't seen nothing positive that you ever say. I do something positive every day. What I'm saying, come on, Tony. What I do to you, Tony?
See, now you said that's harmless. You know, this guy is mind you, 4th on the depth chart, 5th round pick. A lot of us, I thought, 1st round talent. And the reason why he falls was he was tanking interviews, basically teams he didn't want to play for, being somewhat combative with the interviews, asking to break down the plays, and there's a lot of indication that was the Giants. Do you remember the Giants were picking really high on the draft? Okay. Dad saying he didn't want him playing for certain teams and whatnot, didn't want him playing cold weather, throwing out all these demands and everything. Then on top of that, he comes off as a distracted player. Football's not number one. I made a note here that they were a couple years ago at Colorado. They were up big in the Stanford game. Okay, 2-3 touchdowns, some ridiculous amount. And he is selling merchandise on Instagram Live at halftime. At halftime. A distracted player. Okay? A distracted player. All right? So this guy wants to 5th round pick, 1st start, 4th on the depth chart. Looks harmless, but he gets his brother with him to film him confronting a guy. Now, that was lighthearted, but you're a rookie. You know, show some humility. Be low key. Worry about the game. And then there was also reports, Kevin Stefanski didn't mention him when he praised players in the locker room. Well, because he's a very cocky player. You think he just won the Super Bowl or something, okay? A very entitled player. There's a thin line between confidence and cockiness. Cockiness turns people off. Confidence wins folks over, okay? So he didn't get that. He got that pretty honest. Listen to this old clip from his dad, Deion Sanders, back in 92 when it wasn't so friendly. Confronting Tim McCarver, who criticized him the way he handled playing in the World Series and playing for the Atlanta Falcons. This is a long time ago. Let me get the clip here. That one.
Four-time WNBA.
Not that one.
Deion Sanders apparently upset with Tim McCarver's criticisms of his two-sport day last Sunday. Felt like he would gain a measure of revenge, not with champagne, but by dousing McCarver with 4 tubs of ice water. McCarver was furious. So was CBS Sports. Rick Gentile, their producer, complained to National League President Bill White last night. McCarver wants a meeting with White as soon as he can get one. And after this confrontation, Tim McCarver confronted Sanders.
McCarver's right here.
Right now, here you go.
You
I got
are a real man, you know that? Yes. You are a real man, Deion, I'll say that.
Yeah. And so like father, like son. So this is what hurt. This is what hurt Shedeur. You know, have a great game, look great processor. Then you do something like that. You get your brother to film it. Not good. Not good. And it reminded me of, and I wanted to play it on here, but I don't think the sound's going to be good. But I got it on my phone. And I've played this for you all before, is Bill Parcells' 11 quarterback commandments. This was back in 2007 on ESPN. This is really good. This is what Shedeur Sanders should listen to, particularly the last commandment. Listen up. Just bear with me, folks.
Given permission for you to publicly divulge the list of things you told him to do, should you just happen to have it nearby?
Okay, here are the quarterback commandments. Number 1, press or TV, agents or advisors, family or wives, friends or relatives, fans or hangers-on. Ignore them on matters of football. They don't know what's happening here. Number 2, don't forget to have fun, but don't be the class.
Right. Ignore them on matters of football. In other words, you probably, and I'm sure Parcells will say this, we don't want your brother. What's his brother doing in the locker room anyways? Your brother in the locker room, you don't want this to turn into a circus there. Filming you confronting the guy so you can go viral what you did. Very immature. More from Bill Parcells.
Clown. Clowns and leaders don't mix. Clowns can't run a huddle. Number 3, a quarterback throws with his legs more than his arms. Squat and run. Fat quarterbacks can't avoid the rush. Number 4, know your job cold. This is not a game without errors. Keep yours to a minimum. Study. Number 5, know your own players. Who's fast? Who can catch? Who needs encouragement? Be precise. Know your opponent. Number 6, be the same guy every day. In condition, preparing to lead, studying your plan. A coach can't prepare you for every eventuality. Prepare yourself. And remember, impulse decisions usually equal mistakes. Number 7, throwing the ball away is a good play. Sacks, interceptions, and fumbles are bad plays. Protect against those. Number 8, you must.
Now, number 7, that's something he needs to work on. He did get sacked a couple of times, ran backwards a couple of times. And they're showing, this thing is showing Tony Romo. Ironically, I put that in my notes when I was watching the game the other day. Romo ran backwards a lot. That's something he done in college, Shedeur. This is something that he needs to correct as well. A lot of stuff he's doing, he's got down, throwing the ball away, quick decision making. A lot of that is good plus for Shedeur Sanders, but more from the great Bill Parcells, the 11 quarterback commandments. I love this.
Must learn to manage the game.
Hold on. Let's see.
Personnel, play call, motions, ball handling, proper reads, accurate throws, play fakes. Clock, clock, clock. Don't you ever lose track of the clock. Number 9, passing stats and TD passes are not how you're going to be judged. Your job is to get your team in the end zone, and that's how you're going to be judged. But all around you, number 10 this is, when all around you is in chaos, you must be the hand that steers the ship. If you have a panic button, so will everyone else. Our ship can't have panic buttons. And the last one, don't be a celebrity quarterback. We don't need any of those. We need battlefield commanders that are willing to fight it out every day, every week, and every season, team after win after win. It looks like Tony Romo was paying attention.
Yeah. Do not need a celeb. That's the biggest one for Shedeur Sanders. No celebrity quarterbacks. I just played what his dad did. His dad, I'm sure, would look back on that now, so that was probably a mistake. You cannot worry about that stuff, okay? That's background noise. That's probably the reason why Kevin Stefanski didn't praise him in the locker room. Now this week he's got an oblique strain. So now you look at the I call it an incident since his brother was in our locker room filming it, the locker room situation with the radio guy there, and the fact that he was already 4th on the depth chart. Just when you think he was going to get up, now he's got 2 steps back because he's unlikely to play. He's got an oblique strain, so he's not going to play against the Eagles this week. So now you're looking at Dylan Gabriel or Kenny Pickett jumping ahead of him. So I wouldn't give it this much time if I didn't think Shedeur Sanders could play. But it's something that I hope that him and Deion can have a talk about. And listen, I understand guys want to build their own brand. That's fine. Just don't do that stuff in the locker room. Do it outside. Particularly, I wouldn't need to do that stuff during the season. But at least don't do it when you're at work. Be at work. Don't bring that stuff to the workplace. I remember, and this was a receiver. I couldn't imagine a quarterback where the standards are higher for quarterbacks. Remember when Antonio Brown was live streaming during in the locker room, picking up stuff that Mike Tomlin wanted to be private with the team, got him talking about the Patriots and everything, making it all about himself. That's a receiver. Can you imagine a quarterback doing something like that? So, anyways, that's it in a nutshell with Shedeur. Don't be a celebrity quarterback. Don't be a celebrity quarterback. Don't be a celebrity quarterback. Okay? In other news, quarterbacks, listen, I was pretty impressed, although the stat line for Jackson Dart, a lot of this was screen passes for the Giants. Jackson Dart, 12 for 19, 154 yards, touchdown. Dart, 40-something plus starts in college. Looked good. Like a Shedeur Sanders, knew what he was going to do with the football. I was impressed with him. I know it's just one start. I get it. And there was a lot of screen passes, but you still have to sell that to sell that to the defense. He did. And a lot of those plays where a lot of those yards come from. It's just one play. Very good, though. Very impressive with him. Maybe he starts a little sooner than later. This team is going to have a good defensive line. I mentioned that before. I seen a snap from Jackson Dart, from the Giants' Jackson Dart this week. But that's off to a very good start. I did not expect him to be that decisive in preseason week 1. Same thing with Shedeur Sanders. Now, Cam Ward, here out of Nashville, that's where I'm at, even though I've got the New York background. I like that national look here. I thought Cam Ward, Brian Baldinger, NFL Network, very high on Cam Ward. Let me make sure and get my notes here before I get too ahead of myself that I make here. He looked good in that second drive, looked decisive. The line blocking really well for him in that second drive. Long drive there, goes for a touchdown there, hitting the open man. Wish I could have seen more out of him. Again, quarterback, maybe I'm sure he'll play more when they play the Falcons this weekend. You need to play. You need snaps. You more. If he gets hurt, so be it. We're in the process of developing a quarterback. Don't just play in 2 series there. But other than that, he says that he thinks this could be one of the top-tier defenses in the league. A lot of the national media is pretty high on Tennessee, actually. Listen to a guy like Jason McIntyre, Fox, he says maybe Tennessee could maybe win 10 games because they got a pretty easy schedule. I want to say it's 26th in the NFL. Last week, like I said, a little down on the leadership. I didn't like the way they handled the Will Levis situation and let that slide. I did not like the way they handled the Trayvon Burke situation. Why not let him try to come back and compete when he's in the best shape that he's been in when you're shortage of receivers? Did not see a lot from those receivers last week. I know it was just one game. They also got beat 29-7. We'll see how this thing works out. Still not sure if even Brian Callahan's head coach and material, that's going to play out as this season goes along. This team does not need to be a 3-win team. You know, they need to win more than 3 games. They need, I said, probably 6 or 7. It depends on those other 10 that I think they'll probably lose. Then we'll see how they go. I'm going to try to actually break down and give you game-by-game analysis of the Titans and, of course, all the divisions, for example, AFC South and whatnot. But Jackson Dart, very impressed so far from one game. Shedeur Sanders, other than the confronting the Cleveland reporter, he's got to knock that nonsense out. He looked good, though. He looked good. J.J. McCarthy, pretty mediocre. Caleb Williams, having a bad camp, didn't play him. Going to play this weekend. Hopefully, we like what we see. Again, going back to Ben Johnson, though, with Caleb Williams, I think Johnson has been pretty hard on the guy. I'd try to pump him up a little bit. You don't want to kill his confidence completely. I would work with him, and I'll maybe flex my system a little bit and put some more shotgun plays in there and work this thing as you go. I just wouldn't shove my system on him. You don't want to be a Josh McDaniels type of guy where you're just forcing the system on a player and whatnot, doing a square into a square peg into a round hole or whatnot. You want to be flexible, more like an Andy Reid. Make sure and put the play up to the player's strengths. I think they're going to get this worked out. I'm not as down on these guys as everybody else, just a little dissatisfied that they didn't want to play him. If he's that bad, you want to play to work through it. That's what they do. These games don't count, but they do count towards the developmental process. You used to have 4, now you have 3. We understand they got the practices. Let's get those plays. Let's get Caleb Williams out there if I'm the Bears. Okay? All right, I know that's a mouthful. Also, this morning, James Cook, 25 years old, got a 4-year extension. I like the fact that these running back contracts, they're less years. I'm okay with paying a guy good money. This, of course, he'd be 29 when this is over with. 4 years. I'm starting to come around and be a little bit more. I don't use the word coming around. Be a little bit more flexible, I would say, on some of these running backs, second contracts here. $12 million a year, 4-year extension, $48 million, 30 of it guaranteed. I think that's a pretty user-friendly. That's a pretty team-friendly deal for the Buffalo Bills, if you ask me. Listen. I know I've said this before, and I admit maybe I may have overreacted. I'm flexing I'm adjusting my opinion on these things because I've seen some success. For example, I said the Titans should have let Derrick Henry go and not sign him a few years ago when he was up for contract. And Titans extended him, and he did well. And I said they definitely let him go. He's pushing 30 years old now. He's 30 years old, and they let him go last year, and he did well with Baltimore. So he proved me wrong twice. Then I thought about Saquon Barkley. Same thing with the Giants. Not a very good team. Why are you going to pay this guy $15 million, whatever, dollars a year? And then your rival comes up and scoops him up. I would at least try to work out a sign and trade or something. That didn't work out. And then we saw the success Barkley had with the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. I'm under the realm of look at the salaries that these wide receivers are getting now. 30 plus million a year, 34, I think, in Justin Jefferson's case. And these guys don't even run the football. They're not even running the clock out. They're not even dual threats. Sometimes you can get them, swing pass underneath stuff. But you look at it from a perspective, well, if I can just sign the guy for 3 or 4 years instead of a full 5 or go past 30 years old, in some cases, not every case, in some cases, I think it's okay to go ahead and extend your running back. This James Cook thing, I thought that was a pretty good deal for the Buffalo Bills. I noticed I put that on social media, and I noticed the Mad New Yorker didn't like that. He says now that this is just worse for them. Can you make it without a running back? Yeah, if you draft one right. I said when Edgerrin James, he ends up leaving for contract dispute from the Indianapolis Colts in 2006. A lot of people were upset about that. They get Joseph Addai in the draft, first-round pick, bam. The 2006 season, that was in 2006, was before the season. 2005 was his last season, James's last season. They get Joseph Addai in 2007. Then they go on and win the Super Bowl. We know what happened. They got him on a rookie contract there. Got him on a rookie deal. Much, much cheaper. I think that can happen if you got the right quarterback. But if you're average to mid-level type of quarterback, type of guy, I think it's okay to extend them 2 or 3 years. Wouldn't try to go over 5. Wouldn't go for 5. I would want my player to be done under the age of 30. Be done with them. You at that point, you should have another player drafted and whatnot, or you get another player off the wire for half of it. $6 million, $5 million, not $12, $14, $15 million. Okay. But if you look at it, and the guy's an air cool elite player, good blocker, can catch the ball. He can still catch. I know he's not the best, but Derrick Henry can catch the ball. Okay. He's not a Barkley type of guy. He's not running deep routes in here, but you get a good dual threat like that. I think that's a pretty good deal for it. If you start to compare the money and really get that down, but it's got to be a very good running back to get that type of deal. He's got an elite. Christian McCaffrey's another example, but I wouldn't give him a third contract. No way. But all I'm saying is I will come around a little bit on the second contract per se. Okay? Woo. Man, that's a mouthful. Let me get a sip of water here, folks. I just haven't got around to talking about everything. Again, I have not done a show when it's just me for the whole hour, probably in 6 weeks, maybe longer. I've had some financial stuff come up, and I've had a move. And before the move, I've had to pay off a school loan so I can have the monthly payment to pay for this better apartment. My other place was turning into a wreck, and that's why, But a few other things here that I wanted to talk about that I did not get a chance to talk about when I was, and over the last few weeks, over the past month. For example, Hulk Hogan died. It's unfortunate, 71 years old, died of a heart attack. And I wanted to bring this up with the Mad New Yorker, one of the last shows before in my old place. But, when I cut off my internet and TV, I told them to cut it off on the 31st. They cut it off on 25th. And, I think I told you that story already. But Hulk Hogan died. And I thought to myself, what a generational guy. If you are of my age, I'm 44, go back to 1985, go back to the 80s, for example. Anybody that was a kid, single digits, preteen, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that age group, mid 80s, early to mid 90s to late 90s in some cases, your parents, especially a young boy in America, there's a good chance, a very good chance that your parents, your mother, particularly your mother, got on to you for wrestling or air quote horse playing with your friends, your brother, or whatever, in the bedroom, out in the backyard, and just wrestling around. And they got that from watching a guy like Hulk Hogan, from watching the antics of a guy like a Hulk, particularly Hulk Hogan, if you ask me. I went over a friend of mine's house one time. I was probably 6 or 7 years old. His older brother just caught me off guard, picked me up, and just said, DDT, and he slammed me on the bed and caught me off guard, So I pushed him back, and I remember picking up my nieces and stuff and throwing them around. I'd asked my uncle, the great late Uncle Jerry, I was looking at some of pictures of him. Body slammed me, Uncle Jerry, and he'd pick me up like a wrestler and slam me on the bed. Well, that's the stuff you see in pro wrestling, And I think Hulk Hogan, remember, folks, he was on the first that I've ever heard of. Now, I'm sure it was beforehand, but that really transferred wrestling in the ring, his stardom from that to making movies and stuff. And I'm sure there may have been others, but where he was in 1982, I thought that came out way afterwards. But Rocky III came out in 1982. Okay. And he's wrestling Rocky. He's throwing Rocky out of the ring. And after that, the Vince McMahon documentary is great, by the way, on Netflix. I'm sure they got another one they're working on with just wrestling in general. I'm sure there's one coming out on Hulk Hogan, but he transferred that from wrestling star to movie star. Okay. Then you think about a guy like The Rock. There is no Rock without Hulk Hogan. There is no Rock. It's level of stardom. Now, obviously, The Rock, most people would say, and I know it for sure, he's a bigger star. He's demanding like $20-something million a movie. He's a better actor. He's a good actor. Hulk Hogan was just a decent actor. I consider Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson a good actor. I like a lot of stuff he plays in. He's pretty convincing. He's just not an action hero. He can play sensitive. He can play a coach. He was really good in Ballers. Means no, never mind. The Rock put out some stuff about Hogan. Took him about a day or two after that death. but he put out a few things, and I know Hulk Hogan has had a checkered past. We've all had our issues or ups and downs. He had the sex tape thing that looked bad on him. I know that was a bad deal. He sued Gawker for it and everything. Also, the racist rants, the recorded rants that he made. I noticed guys like Mike Tyson forgave him for that. And he didn't call him racist. He said, hey, listen, man, people say stuff like that all the time. I'll say things. He's did some things he's regretted. Talked about the drug use and all that stuff, and steroids and whatnot. That's all well documented. But I just thought that was a big part of anybody in my age group. A little older, give it about 10 years older, anywhere from 35 to like 53, 54 years old. Had Hulk Hogan. I stopped really watching it like 9, but I did go to a wrestling event at high school. My friend Rich Ferris has come on the program. I went and saw The Rock when WrestleMania came to Nashville in high school. Really support my friends. We was having fun with it. I really wasn't into it then, but we had a good time that night per se. We had our sign put up and everything, and we're looking for our sign on TV. One of those, I think it was Monday Night Raw, if I'm not mistaken. But it's pretty interesting stuff, and hopefully I'll get the Mad New Yorker's opinion on that. Wanted to talk about that. I know that's an older story. Also, I didn't get a chance to talk about Shane Gillis, the comedian, on the ESPY Awards, going back to July. Okay, going back then, I thought was pretty good. I think we're getting at a point where people are really fighting back against wokeism and the ultra politically correct and laughing at ourselves and whatnot. I actually got a clip. I didn't realize I'd have this much time left. Listen to Shane Gillis here. I've got 2 clips here. Check out this one right here.
4-time WNBA All-Star Brittany Hicks is here. Give it up for Brittany, everybody. I'm joking around. That's my friend's wife. I knew none of you knew WNBA players. That's crazy. You clap for that.
Funny, ESPN's so much virtue signaling and grant. So everybody starts clapping. You would think if they were really true WNBA fans, they would say they would have got quiet in there. But listen to the claps. Let me play this one where Shane Gillis back last month. We're doing a little catch up right now at the end of the program, talking about this fake this fake WNBA player, which really his friend's wife here, and just put and what's funny is ESPN randomly puts the camera on this woman, so ESPN's in on it. So bringing comedy back. Listen to this one more time. This is too funny.
4-time WNBA All-Star Brittany Hicks is here. Give it up for Brittany, everybody. I'm joking around. That's my friend's wife. I knew none of you knew WNBA players. That's crazy. You clap for that.
His friend's just dying laughing there, So, his friend being a white guy married to a black woman, maybe he can get away with that, right? That kind of get him to get out of jail free card. So the wokesters can't holler racist, right? Everything is racist crowd can't holler racist, but I think it's really funny. Here's another joke he had about Caitlin Clark here, who I don't know. I think at some point she's going to come back from that growing injury. I know that they keep winning without her. But this one's too funny. Waffle House joke. If you missed it a few weeks back, I know almost like a month ago, but let's play a little catch up tonight. Shane Gillis on Caitlin Clark This is too fun.
When Caitlin Clark retires from the WNBA, she's going to work at a Waffle House so she can continue doing what she loves most, fist fighting black women.
Oh, Shane Gillis. I know, like I said, for those of you who just joined, I'm doing some catch up tonight. I'm live, folks. First live show with me all the way through for a whole hour and several weeks. And just wanted to play some of Shane Gillis, who at the ESPN ESPY Awards, which guys like me haven't watched probably in since 2012, maybe, since they started pushing political agendas and everything but sports. But that was kind of ESPN's way of trying to get things kind of evened out again and just more lighthearted and trying to win back some of the people who are annoyed with all the stuff. And I know I told you last week I was really irritated with the fact that ESPN got Red Zone, and I hope they won't screw it up per se. And hopefully the NFL, and I talked about it, it got a lot of views, by the way, got a lot of views from TikTok on that, about hopefully the NFL will step in, the ownership to the powers to be, they'll step in and they'll say, listen, we're tired of that toxic environment you got on ESPN. You know, I mentioned Bart Scott getting on to, was it Mike Tannenbaum, the former Jets, and I want to say Dolphins general manager, basically trying to intimidate him not to criticize Caleb Williams, or per se, hint, hint, don't criticize the black quarterback and all that toxic white privilege crap that you hear. Now, he had done it lately, but, you know, that Stephen A. Smith has said in the past and all that, and just making it not about sports. As a kid watching ESPN, before Disney bought them in 1996, it was fun. It was about sports, man. There's plenty of storylines in the sporting game itself. You know, plenty of storylines in the game itself. But I think what ESPN's trying to slowly do that. I think they still need stronger leadership at the top. I know they've weeded out your Bahami Jones and Jamel Clarks of the world. Jamel Hill, and Ryan Clark, of the world. Getting all that squared away, per se. But anyways, I think the Shane Gillis was a good start, and hopefully they can keep going in the right direction. Again, you don't have to talk my politics. Just don't talk politics, ESPN. That's my whole thing. And bring somebody in that can laugh at everything. And I think he was one of the funniest presenters they've ever had there. Be honest with you. Like, again, I know that's an old story, but I haven't got a chance to comment on it, folks. Again, going to try to get as much college football preview as possible. I bought the Phil Steele's magazine over the weekend. Been scanning over that thing. Not as much as I should, but as much as I can and been able to. Same thing with the NFL. Going to try to get as many shows. May have to record some and as many shows as I can. I appreciate everybody being patient with me during this process here. I'm not giving up on the program. I will never give up on this program. I will never give up on the Sports Talk program because I know that I'm good, you know. But, you know, like life, you hit your ebbs and flows, you have your financial problems, and, you know, you just have to deal with them as you go. So tomorrow, I have Mad New Yorker on. We'll be talking about Shedeur Sanders' debut. He's the Mad New Yorker. I'm going to get his thoughts on Jackson Dart, his debut with the Giants here. What does he think about the Giants so far in minicamp? And we'll get many more stories involved there. I wanted to get to that John Gruden kick the NFL's butt. They're gonna have to go to some kind of court case or whatnot instead of arbitration. Kudos to John Gruden. Wanted to get to that story, but didn't get a chance to get to that story. But anyways, folks, it's great to be back on. It's great to be back on. Knocked off the rust today. So if you like the show, please share the show, okay? And tomorrow I'll be back here live with the Mad New Yorker pending something crazy here on the Real Sports Scope. Good night, everybody.